I suppose, the busyness of the height of JLS.
We look back and we go, wow, how did we navigate that?
Chloe, you go first, and then let's hear the truth.
We met on a show called The X Factor. I don't know why, I just knew that we would get married at some point. So I'll see you in a few years, you go and have a great time with the boys, and then we'll get married. But we looked at me and thought, what on earth is she going on about?
You give a lot to a group, and people don't realise just how all encompassing it is, to commit to something like that.
I think the schedules, and I think the fact that both of us were so driven in individual aspirations and careers that we wanted to do was probably the hardest thing.
Like JLS as a whole, we have that perception and that respect for our families that effectively kept us very grounded throughout the whole process.
This is so like therapy, and I'm loving it.
It's so good. How did you maintain connection essentially when life was so full on?
Someone told us really early on.
Hello and welcome to Couple Goals, the podcast where we chat to couples and experts about all things relationships. We're looking LJ, and today we're joined by Chloe and JB Gill. Hi guys.
Hey, how are you?
Thanks so much for joining us today. Can you tell us a little bit about yourselves, please?
Oh, you go first.
You go first.
Well, I'm JB Gill. Yes, I am chivalrous. Chivalry's not dead. But yeah, I suppose I'm best known for being a member of JLS. And since I suppose taking a little break from JLS in 2014, have developed into a TV presenter, amongst many other things, an author as well, and a father.
Lovely.
Lovely. Chloe, yourself?
And I am Chloe Gill. Was a professional dancer, travelled the world. We met on a show called The X Factor, which I'm sure we'll speak about. And yes, we have 2 children, and I am the organisation of the whole family, running everyone around.
You're the brains behind this project. Right.
Love it.
Try.
Really.
Before we get into the conversation, we are going to do the icebreaker.
Yes.
The mandatory icebreaker.
This fun little game. So while Luke's getting this little wheel, I'll just tell you about it. We have a lovely colourful wheel, which we're going to spin, and whichever colour it lands on, we've got to pick up the corresponding card and answer a fun little random question.
I'm holding this delicately because I've broken this literally every single time.
I'm going to take the cards off because I can
cards
see
off.
them falling.
And once again, we don't know what the questions are going to be, so on and so forth. Okay, here we go.
Spin that wheel.
Spin the wheel. Oh, can you see it? There you go.
Yeah, I can see it.
What's it on?
White.
White.
Affectionately known as cream.
Right. Let's
Cream.
have a little.
My apologies.
This is a when question. Okay.
Okay.
Oh,
Here we go.
Here we go.
So, when are you at your best? First thing in the morning or late at night? So basically, are you what's the 2 things? Are
you an early bird or a night owl?
Yeah, that's it.
I feel like that's changed. I'm probably now better in the morning.
Okay.
I am absolutely a night owl.
Yeah.
I've always been a night owl.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll ever stop being a night owl.
And he's dreadful in the mornings.
The worst.
Useless.
So bad.
Oh dear, yes.
And I caveat with the fact that I am infinitely better than I was
Yes.
Okay.
20 years ago.
Okay. Yes.
However, I still remain a night owl.
Yes. You just fight against your instincts now. Yeah. Because the kids,
Now we don't have much
because the
choice.
kids make you. Yeah. Basically.
Yeah. What about us? I think I am more of an early bird, but
It's not that early.
I'm an
It's
early.
not that early.
It's not that early. But if I had to choose, and I'm an early bird that operates on caffeine. So as soon as I've got the coffee, then I'm okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
that makes sense.
naturally a night owl, but I think similarly to you, JB, I've learned to become a morning person, an early bird, because otherwise the kids won't be okay. Someone's got to make breakfast. But yeah, I think that's probably about fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
So basically, me and JB are sleep deprived,
Yeah.
and you 2 are living your best selves.
We're having a good time. Nice. Right. we want to hear, you've touched on it a little bit earlier there in your introduction, Chloe, but I'd love to know about how you guys met. Like, yeah, tell us the story. What happened there?
That's a knowing laugh if I ever heard one.
I laugh because we have two different sides to the story.
This is going to be good.
On the same thing.
Chloe, you go first, and then let's hear the truth.
Oh!
Go on, Chloe, I'm with you.
So I was lucky enough to become part of the commercial professional dancers of the 2008 X Factor. I was in the show as part of the show. Massive audition, took a long time, and I was 19, I believe, at the time.
Wow.
So I was working on the show. I think I was booked for 1 week on that season, and Jay was in the competition with the boys.
Yep.
So we met at rehearsals. It was, I don't know, such a crazy meeting. I believe everything happens for a reason. Like, I was coming out of a rehearsal and I was the only one there, and he was coming in. So it was just the two of us in a room, and he thought I was being rude.
No, were you just staring at me? And I was just like, hello.
But I was actually very nervous because it was one of my first professional jobs, and I was working for Brian Friedman, so I was really trying to be focused. Anyway, we were just saying hello. But I feel like from that kind of rehearsal, we had an instant connection. I would say we weren't both looking for relationships. Actually, we were both coming out of our relationships, and we were both very focused on our careers. But we met on the show, and then as the week progressed and as the competition progressed, I guess we just like rekindled this kind of relationship that we kind of couldn't get away from in a way, you know. It was something super special, and yeah, we are here now. Was that a nice version?
That was the
myself
truth.
then?
No,
That was the truth.
not to
Okay.
say that you'd ever say, not to say you'd ever say anything other than the truth. But yeah, I mean, Chloe's definitely done a great job of summarising there. From my perspective, obviously, it was our first venture onto the X Factor with the boys and I. Then known as UFO, and then soon to be known as JLS. And yeah, obviously that was kind of our big break, really. We'd been together for about 18 months prior to that. And kind of our whole sort of aspiration, I guess, of getting into the music industry and release our own music was sort of pinned onto the show. You know, it's kind of like our last resort opportunity. And yeah, obviously getting through to the finals and being one of, I think, 12 contestants? Yeah, 12 contestants at the time. And yeah, I mean, it was obviously a great opportunity for us. And, you know, it wasn't until that week 6, I think it was, on the show, where we met Chloe, and obviously there were dancers involved in the whole thing, but that week, for whatever reason, they wanted to have 6 blonde dancers, and Chloe was one of them. And as she said, you know, we had a really good connection, and, you know, not even from a relationship perspective, just got on really well, you know, and had a bit of a spark there. And as Chloe said, you know, over time, sort of throughout the rest of the process, I think it was another 4 or 5 weeks after we met that, you know, we then went into the final of the show. Obviously, the rest, as I say, is history. We came second, and then, as you know, Chloe alluded to, we then were sort of sharing the stage in various different capacities. You know, performing at the Brits and the Mobos, and
just every time we would do a
festivals
show, our
and- yeah.
paths just kept crossing.
Right.
It was I would be performing with an artist, and then the boys would be out performing and winning awards. They were
Yeah.
smashing at that time, and I just think we just kept that connection. And both of us weren't looking for anything serious because we were both so career driven at the time. I was like, I've just been able to get this opportunity. I've just gotten one of the biggest shows of the year as a professional dancer, and I really want to, you know, I've worked so hard to get here. I don't want anything to stop me. And obviously the boys had the same within whatever they were doing with all of their aspirations. And we both were just so focused, but just kept crossing paths, kept speaking, kept the connection. And I guess it's both of us we don't know how we got through that time. But I just think I don't know, obviously it was meant to be.
Well, what's the time frame there then? So that's like, to me, that sounds like a lot of time has passed.
Yeah,
So how long have
I'd say from
friends?
the time we met to the time we were, I'd say, fully together and not questioning each other, but saying like, what is this? Where's this going?
Yeah.
Was probably about 9 months,
Okay.
9 to 12 months, would you say?
So who made the first move?
Definitely him. I think on that week we were exchanging numbers in rehearsals, and I didn't realize at the time that he was taking my number down behind me.
Oh,
so when I literally got a message straight away, and I was just like, who's this, please? And then he obviously said it was. I was like, that was a bit cheeky.
That's so funny.
But I guess that's kind of
so smooth.
Listen, guys, you know, when you've got an opportunity
Yeah,
it presents
take it.
itself, you have to take
Well
it. It's
done.
as simple as that.
Smooth.
You know,
Smooth.
Yeah.
it is what it is. When I heard Chloe giving her number out, I was like, no, I'm taking that.
But you messaged me
Definitely.
straight away. I don't know if you got up to your changing room before you'd messaged me. That was
Of
pretty
course not, because your number was probably the number I wanted.
Well, that's a compliment. But yes, that's how that happened.
Love that.
And I guess we just from there, spoke every day.
Nice.
Wow, that's a lovely story of fastest text wins.
It is, isn't it? I know. Straight in there. There's a man
Keep
who
those
knows what he
fingers right,
wants.
people.
So you kind of touched on this a little bit, but you said you don't know how you got through that time. What did you mean by that? Was it tricky to spend that time together, to invest in your relationship in those early days, especially with it being in the spotlight the way it was? What was that like for you guys?
And your schedules and everything.
Yeah. How did you manage that?
I think the schedules, and I think the fact that both of us were so driven in individual aspirations and careers that we wanted to do was probably the hardest thing. But then obviously knowing that we had this connection, it was crazy that we kept getting drawn back to each other, but then couldn't focus and put too much time into our relationship that you would normally do in a normal environment. Because what if the boys were doing a show and they were flying off to LA for weeks, and then I was jumping on a tour? It was just we look back and we go, wow, how did we navigate that? Especially also being so young.
Yeah.
Like you don't really know what you're doing. You're growing up yourself. Like we've basically grown up together under the spotlight with a lot of, I don't know, so many different
External
obstacles.
pressures,
There's so many things that we look back and go, wow, how did we get through that time?
Yeah, my thing is, like Chloe said, we were very young, and you know, I'd say for both of us, but certainly for me, like I didn't have a lot of experience with a girlfriend or anything like that. And on top of that, you know, I'm looking at a career that, you know, potentially isn't going to last forever, but you know, has a very I wouldn't say a very short time, you know, window span, but you know, certainly it was very fast paced, you know, and you had to take that opportunity at that time because it wasn't going to be there forever. And so it was kind of like a constant battle, probably for both of us, I'd say, but certainly for me, from my perspective anyway, of what needs to take precedence, you know what I mean? And of course, there's always pressures to, you know, to establish a relationship or to have a girlfriend, things like that. But then at the same time, you know that you're in this group, you're doing what you're doing what you love, doing what you've been working towards for the best part of about 2-3 years, maybe even longer, and you're kind of living it, you know. So it was kind of like always, okay, is this the right thing? I think as I say, for both of us, you know, we would talk all the time about, you know, is this right? Does this make sense? You know, should we be doing it or not? Do you know what I mean? That sort of thing. And yeah, I think that was definitely, certainly in the early days, one of the biggest challenges, you know, making sure that we were still being true to ourselves as individuals and aiming for our dreams, but at the same time also, you know, I think for me as well, I was always mindful, even in those early years, even before that these sorts of, you know, those sorts of things didn't last forever. And what is important is your family. Like I've got very, you know, close links to my family. Chloe, same deal with her, you know, very close to her family. And then similarly with the boys, like JLS as a whole, we have that perception and that respect for our families that effectively kept us very grounded throughout the whole process. So for me, knowing how important that is and sort of thinking a little bit forward to how that might look for me and what my family unit potentially could be, you know, I was definitely wrestling with that sort of thing because I was like, okay, well, this is important, potentially could be really important, but am I quite there yet or not?
Yeah.
You know?
But I also think on the flip side, we managed to get through it because we both understood the industry.
Yes.
Okay.
And we were both involved in it in different aspects.
Yeah.
So I think that when he, for example, would say, I'm not getting out of the studio tonight, we've got to cancel plans, I wouldn't ever be, I wouldn't have a go at him about it. I just understood that that's what needed to happen. So I think we both had an understanding of what we were both going through individually. And then I think that's how we managed to get through, if that makes sense, because we were both so driven and were able to support each other in everything that we were doing individually, yet still stay together, which is wild.
Yeah. So kind of like pulling on that thread a little bit, you're in this world that's so busy and your schedule is not in your control. You're being told where to go and you have to go this, that, and the other. What are the conversations being had to make sure that you guys are safeguarding your relationship for the future?
Wow.
Easy question.
That's deep.
Well, for me, I think at the time it was like, I remember sort of almost I'd say almost immediately, I said to Chloe, like, I'm coming to meet your family.
Yeah.
And you know, there's always a little bit of, I don't know, maybe it's a female thing, maybe it's not, maybe it's just a different people thing. But for me, like, as I say, family was important. Family's key. And if I was going to be her boyfriend at the time, and obviously down the line potentially anything more, like, there's no, yeah. And I know lots of friends who, you know, they'll live in London, live away from home perhaps, you know, and be involved in, you know, entertainment, stuff like that, traveling all around the world, touring, doing this, doing that, and they've got girlfriends, boyfriends, whatever, and they've been together for years and they've never met each other's parents. Like, that to me is just could never ever exist, never happen. And so for me, you know, those sorts of conversations we would have even from early days, you know, interacting with each other's families, and you know, I guess kind of, you know, we talk about everything, you know. And I think communication is
for hours. We used to speak for hours, especially when we were obviously having such a long distance relationship. I just remember being on the phone for hours, getting to know each other, speaking to each other. I remember saying to you at one point, you're going, because obviously we met on the show before the boys even went into this crazy world. I said, if you honestly, I'll probably meet you in a few years and then we'll get married, because I do believe we're supposed to get married, because I just thought, I don't know why, I just knew that we would get married at some point. I just thought I'd met my match. And then I said, we don't have to be together while we're going through this whirlwind. So I'll see you in a few years. You go and have a great time with the boys and then we'll get married. But we looked at me and thought, what on earth is she going on about? But I just felt like, I just was like, we're going to get married. He's like, I'm not that kind of person. But obviously I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm learning, I'm exploring, I'm understanding him as a person. And I said, because I'm super loyal and, you know, I want to be with someone like long term if we're going to do this, but I don't want to get hurt along the way. I don't know what's going to happen. But he's just looking at me questioningly going, what on earth are you talking about? But I guess we were having really big conversations at such a young age. And I feel like being in the industry and going through what we were going through, we had to grow up really quickly.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, we were lucky enough that I guess you didn't go into the X Factor until you're 21. Is that right? 21, 22?
Yeah, 21, yeah.
And it's different from when you're going in at 14, 15. Like, you had seen life, you'd been at university, and, you know, we'd had, you know, teenage years doing those things where sometimes they're a lot younger and they don't get to do that. Where I feel at that next level, we were having big conversations at a really, really young age and kind of speeding through. But what we did do is just talk to each other about everything, I guess, and spent hours communicating and getting to know each other and working out between us whether we should be together. And, you know, every time I think that we decided maybe we shouldn't be together, the next day we were like, no, that's silly. So I don't know. It's just one of those things. But yeah, you're just growing up and, you know, navigating it together in your own way.
Yeah. So how long were you together then before you got engaged and married? What happened then?
It was about 5 years, wasn't it? Yeah, about 5 years before we got married. We got engaged in the January of 2014, and we were married quite quick. We were married in, obviously, May the 3rd, 2014. So it was quite a quick engagement. But to be honest, we wouldn't have had it any other way, to be honest. You know, I think when you get engaged, obviously in this day and age, you know, weddings are expensive. So I totally get it, you know, sort of like spending a bit of time and trying to, you know, work towards whatever it is you want to have for your celebration and for your day. But, you know, for us, kind of the engagement was really the promise, you know, of what was to come. So, you know, we didn't waste time. We had an idea of the venue. We knew, you know, what we wanted to do. Chloe's mum was a florist at the time, you know, had her own floristry business. So, you know, we had the flowers unlocked.
That's handy.
Nice.
Chloe needed to get her dress.
My dress. If you've
And
got
that's
the
pretty
dress,
much
we
it.
can go. And
Yeah.
okay, don't set me a challenge because I'll get the dress. So we did it. We turned it around. Everyone was looking at us going, oh my goodness, guys. But we just, you know, once we decided we wanted to get married, we were lucky enough and able to do that. So yeah, it was quick.
Oh, nice. And I suppose as well, like with your scheduling and everything, once you're engaged, you're like, let's just lock this down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's.
Exactly that.
Yeah, because you're a couple then, and then does that make things easier once you're married? Are there like more unique challenges then, given you have to fly around the world, both of you doing different things?
I think, I mean,
You always wanted to get married, though.
Yeah, I definitely always wanted to get married. For me, it wasn't so much that I wanted to be married and not so busy with JLS, but definitely didn't want to have children within that, I suppose, the busyness of the height of JLS. And it obviously just so happened that we had spoken about like basically we were going to have our last tour in 2013, and I think the last date was on the 23rd of December that year. So I already knew that we were going to have a little bit of a break, and funnily enough, I was going to propose to Chloe on that last show, on that last concert, and I didn't do it, and I'm glad I didn't do it because Chloe, as you can see,
Gosh.
but obviously the plan was always to, you know, as I say, we always wanted to get married. So, you know, that's definitely something that was on my radar. But as we came then to close with JLS, I say the 1.0 era, you know, it was definitely a time when we were talking about our future and, you know, how that looks. Of course, we were looking to get married, and then we welcomed our son Ace in September of that year. And as I say, I always said to Chloe, I didn't want to be sort of in the height of JLS when I had really young children, because you just miss so much. Like, you know, over the years that I've been doing it with the boys, probably 7-8 years up until that point, up until 2013, you know, you miss birthdays, you miss funerals, you miss christenings, you miss everything, you know, and you give a lot to a group, and people don't realize just how you know, all encompassing it is, you know, to commit to something like that. You know, if everyone's traveling, you're traveling. If everyone's, you know, doing a show, you're doing a show. Like if everyone's doing promo for that week or 2 or 5, you're doing the show. Like, it is what it is. And, you know, there's not as much freedom as if you're a solo artist, where you've got a bit more, you know, if you're ill, you call a show off, you're happy to live with that, you know, whereas if I'm ill, I am always sort of second guessing myself, thinking, am I ill enough to then pass that on, to then potentially cancel a show, which then has a knock on for, you know, all different things, including financial, which, you know, other people have got families, perhaps, whatever it is that they've got going on. You know, it's not always, you know, as cut and dry as you might think. So yeah, just little things like that I'd always have in the back of my mind personally. But that was a perfect opportunity really for us to kind of really invest in our relationship, obviously as husband and wife, and then look forward to welcoming our children.
Was there a point where it was tricky to keep that connection? I know you spoke about communication was really important, and you spoke a lot on the phone. How did you maintain connection essentially when life was so full on?
I'd probably say I wouldn't leave it more than 6 weeks before seeing each other physically. So if I had to jump on a plane for a few days off and he was in America for a very long time, I would go, because just seeing each other, having like cuddling, whatever, having a moment just to say what's going on. And we find it quite difficult now, especially even having the children and traveling. We still spend quite a lot of time separated because work is here, there, and everywhere. Having to make sure that we always reconnect, and we were talking about it this morning. It's such an important thing that we have to make sure that we do to keep our relationship alive and keep our relationship moving forward. Because if you don't reconnect, and then that just doesn't happen, and then you carry on running through life as we do, and it's super fast paced, you will lose that connection and you'll lose that spark. And that's something that I've really tried to make sure that we always come back to. So in that time where we were all, and it was just me, I didn't have the children, I could literally say, haven't got a job for a week, or I haven't got, because my jobs were so sporadic, and he was somewhere else, I'd try and fly out and see him, or he would come home, and even if it was, we'd drive through the night to go and see each other if they were doing a show, trying to make sure that we were always seeing each other and not leaving it too long, I'd say.
Yeah, and you know, sacred times, even now, have always been holiday time. Like, holiday time is uninterrupted. There's no working on holiday with us. Like, it just doesn't happen. If we're away for a week, or away for 10 days, or away for 2 weeks, or away for 2 days, like, whatever it is, that's like holiday time. Yes, obviously we still use our phones and stuff, but it's not like sitting doing emails when, do you know what I mean, or whatever. Like, it is very much carved out time, as little or as much as we get, because we know they don't come along very often. But that's always been the case, you know, and I think we both respect that time. Obviously, certainly more so now with the kids, but even before that, even before they came along, you know, that time was really, really important. And just doing stuff together, you know, I think people, like, you know, people say, oh, you know, do you not want to go with the boys? You don't want to go with the girls and stuff. Obviously, that's nice to do, but you know, certainly now I'm like, well, Chloe's my best friend, so why would I not want to spend time with her? Like, and because we don't get a lot of that time. If we had 3 or 4 or 5 holidays a year, then yeah, fine, one with the boys and the rest with the family, great. But we don't get that. So for us, I think just, you know, making sure that quality time is carved out has been really, really valuable.
Yeah. It's prioritizing the main things, isn't it? It's just remembering family first. And it sounds like you've both got that as a shared value. And, you know, I know when I won the Y Factor and you were...
Yeah, the good old days.
Yeah, the good old days, you know. Well, I actually was the dancer and it was LJ who won.
You are a better dancer than me.
I was blonder back then. No, but I'm just thinking, even for me and you, we have to do that in like this sort of normal 9 to 5 day-to-day thing. And I'm just trying to think, does the fame, does the pressure, the spotlight, the showbiz scheduling emphasize those priorities even more for you? Or is it something you have to forcibly prioritize for yourself?
I think it definitely highlights it even more for me. But I think, you know, of course, you hear all sorts of stories, you know, within our industry of people who've fallen out of love, or, you know, their relationships have broken down. And, you know, that is what it is. And that happens for all different reasons. So I'm not here to say, oh, that shouldn't happen or whatever. Yeah. But for me, I think some of those cases, I'm sure, are avoidable down to a small number of things. One of those things you touched on, communication. One of those things is definitely the time that you spend with each other. Certainly, as I've gotten older, one of the things that I've learned is that, first, you don't have to do everything that everybody else does. Secondly, you can make a choice of the things that you stand in and that you believe in, you know, and we joke about it, but I always say to people, you know, some of my younger friends maybe, just go home. And you can take that however you want it to. For some people, it's not a relationship thing. It's just, you know, things might get out of hand if they stay out too late or whatever. For other people, maybe it is a relationship thing. Like, I always just say, there's nothing wrong with you going out, having fun, enjoying yourself, being with your friends. But at the end of that time, go home, like, go to your family, go to the thing that's important, whatever that might be. And do you know what I mean? That's definitely something that stood or had me in good stead throughout our relationship. And, you know, as I say, like, and now for me, it's never been forced, like, especially with the kids. Like, if I can finish work and get home that night, and even if I'm in at 2, 3 in the morning, wake up in my own bed, or, you know, even if the kids are jumping on my head at 6 and I am a night owl and I'm praying and wishing that I stayed out. Do you know what I mean? But for me, like, there's nothing better than that. Like, I'd love to get up and take them on the school run and drop them to school. That's one of my favorite things to do, full stop.
Yeah.
Like, out of everything, you know. And if I'd rather not miss that.
Also, our daughter wouldn't have it any other way. She is on him. And I felt like, I say it to all the time, I needed you like 10, 20 years ago. Like, when he was annoying me, I needed you on my shoulder. She's like a little bit of me, but like spicier, which is even funnier. Because I just look at her sometimes. It's so funny. He had a picture with a fan the other day, which is always what he does. And I think she saw it on my phone and she went, Mum, who on earth is having photos with Daddy like that? And I went, oh, it's just one of his fans. Like, it's fine. She was like, it is not fine. And when he gets home, I'm going to question him. So she did. She sat him down and she went, Daddy, I need to talk to you. Why are you doing these huggy, kissy pictures with these girls? Like, what are you doing? And I just sat there and I loved it. I loved every moment of it.
Let her
and
deal
Jay
with
was like,
it.
oh, it was exactly. Yeah. And he was like, oh, that's one of my fans. She went, well, I don't want to see it again. That's what you should be doing with Mummy. And that's it. And I went, yes, you're right.
What a babe.
Get him, girl.
She sounds amazing.
She is. And I say all the time, I needed you all those years ago when he was annoying me. So I've got her now, so I don't even need to ask any questions.
That was so cute.
So funny.
You go home, you're not dreading a telling off from your wife, it's from your daughter. That's fine.
It's the daughter.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's the daughter.
Oh, brilliant. Well, I think that's a really good time for us to just go to a quick break and then we'll come back and we'll carry on where we left off. Is your relationship on autopilot?
In the beginning, relationships can feel like the start of a new adventure, but without effort and intentionality, it's easy for couples to drift apart. If you want to invest in your relationship, you'll love Going the Distance, a marriage event from Care for the Family.
For the first time ever, we'll be joining the Going the Distance team with previous Couple Goals guests Catherine Hill, Kathy Madafan and Philip Janadu. Full of wisdom, humour and vulnerability, we'll be exploring the essential areas to help strengthen your marriage together.
We also have 2 great parenting events, as well as our sellout event hosted by our founder, An Evening with Rob Parsons.
All our events go on tour across the country, so to buy tickets or for more information, go to cff.org.uk/tour events. See you there.
Welcome back, everybody. And before we dive back into our conversation with Chloe and JB, I want to take a moment to ask you all to please don't forget to like, follow and subscribe to Couple Goals so that you don't miss a single episode.
Absolutely. JB, Chloe, you're going to be subscribing, aren't you?
Absolutely. It's been brilliant being part of it so far.
You mean you haven't already?
Don't want to miss this one. I've listened to you guys and it's brilliant. It's great fun. So definitely make sure you get involved.
Lush.
There's the endorsement. Thank you.
Thank you. Right. So in the first half, we spoke a lot about your relationship and your marriage, and you started to tell us a little bit about your kids. So I'd love to chat a bit about parenting now for a little bit and the impact then that had, because, you know, things change just a tiny bit when you have kids, don't they?
Just a wee
They
bit.
change a smidge.
Wow.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. So on top of your already jam-packed schedules, what was that like whenever you threw kids into the mix?
Yes.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
How many kids have you got? How old?
We have 2.
Yeah.
I don't think I could schedule any more in at the moment. I'm not
No.
gonna,
That's fair.
The schedules of these children at the moment, as they've got older, is pretty crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
But I mean, having a child, I always wanted to be a mum. Always. I used to be dressing up as a mum when I was little. I used to put the balloons under my tummy and cycle around with my sister. I was always pregnant in mums and dads, always. So for me, having a child I had 2 things I wanted to do in life. I wanted to become a professional dancer and I wanted to become a mum. So I've been able to do both of those, which I'm very happy about.
You're doing well.
Well done.
I was overjoyed to welcome our firstborn, our son Ace, who is a true character to his name.
Yeah.
But it is a massive change in a relationship. They just take over your life.
Yeah.
They become the priority, and it's a big adjustment, isn't it? I'd say.
Yeah, no, it's
You're
definitely.
selfish as a person. Everything becomes about the child and what they are doing, and But you really didn't want to miss all those moments, especially at the beginning, did you?
No, but I'll be honest, I think we did well balancing it, certainly in those early years. I've always been quite a practical person, and similar, not in the same way as Chloe, but certainly growing up, I've always loved children. I've always loved the idea of having children, obviously getting married as well. And so for me, you know, that kind of went hand in hand. And like Chloe said, Ace was born in 2014, so he's 11 now, and it's a big change. You know, we didn't have a clue what we were doing, but you know, I read a lot personally.
Yeah, he did. He read loads of books.
All the books. I wanted to know all the information. Like, I could probably give most women a little bit of a crash course in breastfeeding, although it might not be that welcome because I'm a man.
I think he had every app under the sun. Like, he is a researcher, and he was going for it.
My mum's a nurse, so for me, I didn't really disconnect sort of the I guess the personal element of birth and you know the early days of parenting and stuff like that, and then the practical element. As I say, I'm very practical, so for me it's kind of like, if you want to breastfeed, then we'll help you do that. Like, it is what it is. If that's what the position needs to be, if that's how you have to latch, if all those sorts of terms, I was like, absolutely right down my street. Is what it is. Perhaps a bit overbearing at times, I don't know. Chloe can
just
say,
don't do the demonstration.
I was like, why don't we try on you?
When we were in the hospital, I literally was like, we're not leaving here. My wife says she wants to breastfeed. You will definitely show her before we leave. And so I mean, like, things like that. I was just always on side. And I think someone told me, or told us really early on, that you're on the same team. And to always remember that. And that's something that's always stuck with me. Advice that I try and give to new parents as well, because there were definitely moments, even for Chloe and I, where we were just like, we didn't know what to do. And Chloe's a very natural, like, she's very maternal, she's a very natural mother. So just sort of like soothing a child and things like that came very naturally to her. And even she struggled, of course. So there were literally moments where I was just like, it's fine, I'll take him, you go and, I don't know, make a cup of tea or whatever. And then vice versa. There were moments where I was like trying to settle him, put him down, and she's just like, I'll take him, you go off and make a cup of tea, whatever. Do you know what I mean? And I think just being able to ride those moments together helped us get through a lot in those early days. And I'd
say one thing we did do is we really did work as a team.
Oh yeah, 100%.
We didn't go against each other, and we would always go, what do you think? What should we do? What are we doing wrong? So we're questioning everything to each other rather than having a go at each other, because that wasn't going to help. That was going to make everything worse. So, and then also dealing with all the emotional aspects of it, because you're both tired and all the hormonal changes in the woman and everything that your body has gone through. That we really tried to just say, well, why is that happening? And answer the questions together. And that's kind of how we've always kind of been, which is something that we've, I think is probably why we've stayed together, and we work through everything together and try and work as a team together, even though sometimes we don't always agree.
No.
We are very opposite, but we always try and have the same solution. So we always try and come back together and go, okay, you think this and I think this, but how are we going to move on together? So
that's it, because we all want the same outcome, generally speaking. It's just the routes to getting there, and our routes are often different, but we all want the same outcome. So it's kind of, and I remember in the very early days, perhaps just our circumstance and how things happen for us. But, I was very active in sort of I'd get up and I'd change Ace, obviously Chloe's breastfeeding. So I didn't do the feeding, so to speak, at that time. So, I kind of just took it upon myself, and maybe it was because Chloe had an emergency cesarean, but I took it upon myself to, change his nappy, make sure all the sort of heavy lifting, we'll call it, was done. And then it was over to Chloe. And I think kind of sharing that load, even as frequent as it is in those early years, and you're up every couple of hours or whatever, really, I feel like it really made a difference. And, it wasn't easy, but
having a child
is
absolutely life-changing.
Yeah.
It is.
Just a tad,
just a little bit.
Yes. We've got two, and that's all we have time for.
A third could not fit in anywhere.
No, I don't think so. Yes.
I think you need to go quite quickly when they're little, because then it all just rolls. I think it's when you have the breaks, and then you go, oh, should we have another? And I go, oh, no, not
you can't
now.
go back.
But the break between our two is almost 4 years. So Kiara is 7 now. But that was right for us, I think.
Yeah.
We needed to have, I suppose, a bigger break. But now she's 7, I don't think, having
We
a
just get
7 or
asked
8
a
year
lot
gap would
if
be.
we're having any more.
Wow.
All the time. But no, my answer's no.
You're all good.
I'm great.
We're all good.
I think you touched on something really lovely there about being a team. And that resonates a lot with me, I'd say, in terms of our journey whenever we became parents.
Yeah, definitely.
That I think I had to learn to let Luke be a part of the team in that regard. I think being the mum, and I was breastfeeding as well, I put practically all the responsibility of this new baby on me.
Yeah.
And you really wanted to help, but I think...
Well, I was a dad,
you obviously wanted to help. Yeah, you wanted to help, but you didn't know how to help.
Yeah.
But then I had to learn to let Luke in and let him help as well.
Yes.
And ease off on that responsibility and say, do you know what? It's not all on me. It can't all be on me because I can't do it on my own.
No, well, I became chief nappy changer by far. Yeah, absolutely. Because I'm just starting to think, how disruptive were your careers for this part of your life? Particularly when Ace is coming along. Did you get much? Do you get paternity? Do you get maternity? How does that work?
Well, I wasn't working as intensely with JLS.
Yeah.
So that was good. So I wasn't traveling in the same way. I think I took about 3 weeks off.
Right.
And I was doing various different bits and pieces, various music things and other things as well. But yeah, it wasn't as intense as it had been. And I was grateful for that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it just allowed me to really connect with Chloe, obviously connect with Ace as a new baby. And then I started sort of picking things up again. And obviously Chloe was able to be at home. So we were able to sort of manage it quite well, weren't we?
Definitely. From when we had Kiara, oh my days. I think I had the baby and he was gone the next day.
Literally,
It was
2 days later.
crazy.
It's filming.
It's so different when... I just think that a job came in and he had to go, and I was just like,
hard.
"Oh my goodness!
Well, see, I'm what you would call, I'd say, the opposite. So I would cancel everything. I don't care.
And I'm not.
For me, as I've said, family is the most important thing. So if I miss something because I'm doing a family thing, that's not an issue for me. And even if it's work, I'm firmly of the opinion and the belief that something else will come along in its place if I'm supposed to have it.
And I'm self-employed, and I'm like, we have to go and get this work now.
Yeah.
Yes.
But Kiara, I think the work must have been booked in, and then I think you were home for about 2 days. I mean, all the family came over and with me for the day, and obviously it's your second child, so you're in a completely different mental place. You've done it before. We've also, had a child before, so he was fine to leave me, but. I don't know. It's so different from having your first to your second. Yeah. And I was like, it's fine. You go. And then I was thinking, oh my goodness, should I let him go? I mean, he was gone and back. He was gone and back in a day. So it was absolutely fine.
Yeah. He wasn't gone for like a month.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. I wouldn't have let him go for that long.
Don't you find
so funny.
Parenting has this way of just exposing our vulnerabilities, doesn't it? Definitely, I found that it just shed a light on things I was completely unaware of in my own heart. And that is that something that you guys kind of found? What kind of vulnerabilities did parenting shine a light on whenever you had your kids? Was that different between first and second?
I've always needed him. I mean, he is my backbone. We do everything together, make all decisions together. I pass everything through him. He's like the other eye, the other side of me. So I think that's probably been heightened having children, and being married and spending more time together. You become one, which I do believe. And I think maybe having, the kids are the worst. They're like, oh, daddy, do you have to go? Making him feel guilty. Literally yesterday we were in London and, we dropped him off at work and the Kiara, obviously a little girl, does he have to leave us? Can't he just come home? I'm like, no, darling, we do have to go to work. We do have to, do these things. We can't, not every day is a holiday. So, I think maybe having children has definitely heightened that, just being together and having those moments. But that's, we touched on it earlier about making sure we have that time away when we go on holiday, and we have those sacred moments where we have intense time together, because our life is so sporadic and we're all over the place. But yeah.
Yeah. Is that hard for you, JB, with like does daddy have to go?
Yeah, 100%. I think we hear the term mum guilt all the time, but dad guilt definitely exists. For me, I think the hardest thing is just, as I say, you miss so much, and I if I go away now for 3 to 5 days, I come back and I notice a difference in both children. I think as they get older, you notice it less, but like just things like Kiara will say, for instance, she's obviously the youngest at 7 still, and the way she speaks, the way she communicates, the words she uses, even in 4 or 5 days, it's just completely different. You're just like, where did you even get that from? I've literally gone a couple of days, and we talked to sort of about being on the same team, and you mentioned there, LJ, sort of allowing Luke into the team. I feel a little bit like that, and I'm sure Chloe will agree. Like, when I leave, obviously they have to set up a new team because I'm not part of that team anymore. I can't help out. I can't be involved because I physically am not here. And then when I come back, sometimes that's for a long time. Sometimes that's for a short time. I turn around before I then go again. But, I'm very much back in the team. But because they've established sort of that new team and they've made it work because they have to, it's really not difficult, but it's something that we have to be very conscious and deliberate about, because I'm back in the team. You know what I mean?
It's a dynamic change all the time. Like the three of us, if he was away for a period of time, we've set up this, you do this, mummy helps mummy with this, can't do this, and we're together and we're going. Then daddy steps back in and we're just like, oh, I have another person to help me now. Oh, he can help me do, and it's just re-establishing it. And I think the children are better now they're getting older, where I think that was quite difficult when they were little. And obviously daddy leaving and daddy coming back in is a lot. But, even I find it difficult. We find it difficult. That's why we have to make sure that we reconnect when we come back together. Because if we don't reconnect and we keep separate and it carries on, that's where issues happen. And, we've been through those experiences together. I was away with my son for the last 8 weeks, back and forth. He was filming a TV show. And we haven't had that time to reestablish us again because life's got in the way. And, you don't feel as connected as you normally are. And being away for 8-week period is such a long time. And so even though we're communicating and speaking, we have to make sure that we spend time together and, talk about how we're both feeling and making sure that we stay connected always.
Yeah. And then in the middle of all that, you think, do you know what would be great? Let's make a farm.
Well, that's it on him. That's his fault.
Do you know what? We're not
That's
busy
all
enough.
his fault. Do you know what I mean?
How did that begin? Where did that thought come from?
Well, I mean, obviously, we've always had the farm when we moved in here, prior to getting married, and I suppose really during the conversation about our my transition out of that first sort of hectic period of JLS, we were looking at I was looking at my own projects and things that I wanted to do. That's kind of when the conversation about, farming and establishing a farm really began. I did a lot of research and talked about it and, discovered sort of things that we could do potentially with the space that we've had. We've got about 11 acres of land, which prior to that hadn't really been used. And really it came out of, I suppose, a real drive to be resourceful or more resourceful. We had this space and we didn't want it to kind of be, go to waste. And, we prayed about it. We've talked about it a lot. We researched, as I said, a lot about it. And effectively it kind of became, I guess, the focal point for what we wanted to try and accomplish sort of in this sort of new, we'll call it post-JLS era. It literally was that. It was sort of like the stepping stone for some of my early children's broadcasting work, with like Down on the Farm and so on, for CBeebies. And off the back of that was then able to do sort of, I guess, a bit more of a hybrid job with Songs of Praise. And, it's got sort of, lent itself well to obviously to my faith or to our faith and music and the outdoors and so on as well. And then since then, kind of really been working on shows like Springtime on the Farm and done various bits of like Country File, Spring Watch, whatever, all of the different projects sort of we've been able to establish have just kind of we've been able to use as a springboard off the back of the farm. So the farm in itself, of course, is a business and definitely sort of holds its own and washes its face. But ultimately, it's been a brilliant sort of focal point, as I say, and gateway for my broadcast career and establishing that.
Do you all muck in on the farm? Did you have like the family? Right, come on, we've got to get down, we've got to shovel this stuff.
Yeah. I mean, you don't really have any choice. The mucking out's not too bad because I quite like it.
Yeah. He finds that really peaceful,
therapeutic. It's to be honest, it's probably because in the post children era, it's an hour where you don't have any interruptions because no one wants to be there.
He goes, I'm going to go muck out so I can't annoy him, probably.
But no, I mean, listen, obviously, like our primary trade is turkeys, and obviously we've been doing that seasonally for close to 11 years now.
Wow.
So for obviously almost as long as we've been married. So, that's been, kind of a big thing for us and for the farm. And every single year, there's new challenges that we face, all different things that we have to sort of overcome, the weather and everything else in between.
Goodness, yeah.
And that's definitely a family affair. Last year we had the kids, well, we had them out selling, didn't we?
Yeah,
they
we
literally
did.
were selling.
Oh,
They were
cool.
selling books alongside the turkeys are all pre-ordered and whatever
Yeah.
else. That's already done. We just have to sort of manage that and organize it. And then they were there on the day. They were selling books, selling
Just giving them
jumpers,
permission for
t-shirts.
every book they sold, and they were like, "Oh, this is great! This is great!" So they were on it. They got top sales boy and girl. So we were very proud of
Nice.
them.
Yeah.
But I feel like the farm's become a really safe space, and it's become a really away from the busyness of our life and everything that we do, where we're running around on and off planes, doing different things up and down the motorway, coming home and then having this safe space where we can just breathe. Even my little boy comes out of London, the other day and went, "Oh, Mommy, I can just get home and breathe. I just love it here." And, we've just been so blessed to have this amazing space where we feel safe and love being here.
It's really important as well, I think, to get the kids involved in those sorts of things. So like even like for us at home at the moment, I've got my we got a wood burner installed not long ago, and where we live in Newport, we live next door to these woods. And they often, felling trees for this, that, and the other, and they leave them there, and they say basically help yourself to the woods. So my latest obsession.
It is an obsession.
And it is an obsession, and I've got the calluses to prove it. It's just basically chopping up wood ready for the fire. And similarly to the mucking out, it's just nice to go down there, zone out, and just chop wood. But our boy Patrick, who's 4, off to school this year.
I know.
Oh, that's big.
Big milestone.
It's a lot.
It's a big
I
milestone.
know. He's become my wee helper down at the bottom
He
of the
loves
garden.
it.
It's so lovely.
cute.
Yeah, he just comes. Like, "Oh, Daddy, you chopping wood?" And I was like, "Yeah." "Can I help?" Like, "Yeah." And I just chop it, and he just picks them up, and he gets them in the piles. But honestly, that sort of having something like that as a family, I think really is important because
Simple things too.
Absolutely.
simple things,
Yeah.
It is.
and it just brings you closer as a unit as well. Then, doesn't it?
Totally.
100%. Absolutely.
And how you're feeling about him going to school is how I'm feeling about Ace going to secondary
Oh my
school.
Oh,
goodness.
wow, you're
It's
there.
exactly the same feeling.
it?
It's so
I
weird.
know. I'll
Yeah.
probably drop him off, have a little weep, and then I'll go and have a coffee by myself, and I'll be all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think it'll do wonders for our marriage. I think it'll be.
No.
It'll be good for
Yeah, well,
us.
you can do breakfast dates. We do that a
Ooh,
lot.
Yeah.
So
yes.
dinner dates don't work anymore. You got to get cover. You got to get this. You got to get that. You got to get grandparents in the country all at the same time.
Yeah.
But a breakfast date, you can go do the school run together and then
Go and
grab
have
a bit of
breakfast.
Have a breakfast
Which is nice
date.
because you're already up anyway because you've been running around, so you might as well go and have a nice breakfast together.
Yeah.
That's a good
Top tip.
good relationship hack there. Breakfast dates. Overrated dinner
Exactly.
dates, absolutely.
Yeah. I'm way too
Yeah, we can't
tired
do
for
that,
a date
otherwise-
in the evening anyway.
Oh, I
Too
know.
tired.
Yeah.
You've got
Or you got to take the kids with you, and that's
Oh, it's not a date.
no.
not the same.
That's childcare. That's an entirely different thing.
Exactly.
Well, that kind of puts it. Well, that's your hack number 1. But what I want to hear from you now is what
Yeah.
would you say? I'm just trying to think of like your unique situation. having to navigate, showbiz, having to navigate the schedules, the chaos, being in the spotlight, and kind of maintaining that momentum. What would you say are your 3 principles or 3 golden rules that have helped you maintain a really healthy relationship together?
You want to go?
I would say for me, be open to compromise.
Okay.
And I
Making me laugh.
That laugh said so much.
That was very
Wow,
knowing.
you've come a really long way.
what do you mean? I always compromise.
You have grown
I think it's
so
really.
Yes, he has.
I always
No,
compromise.
he thinks I don't.
No, but it goes both ways. I think you have to be really open to compromise, because I think a lot of, when you hear stories about people's relationships again breaking down and things like that, a lot of that comes from, I suppose, the ego side of all of us. And we all have it. And the bottom line is there's never I don't believe there's never always one right or one wrong. You can both potentially be right and you can both potentially be wrong. I think what's really important is that you learn the art of compromise. Obviously, we're all going to have arguments. We're all going to disagree on things. But actually, is it the most important thing? Probably not. Is it the be all and end all? Probably not. In the grand scheme of things, we're always changing. We're always adapting. So I think it's a difficult skill to master, but it's a really important one. And as I say, I think just understanding the other person's perspective, for me anyway, goes a really long way.
Okay, so compromise.
That's a top
one.
tip from you, babe.
From me.
I would say keeping the connection alive.
Yeah.
I watched a podcast the other day about your relationship is alive. It's something that happens, is constantly moving. You're changing. It really resonated with me, and making sure that we always stay connected, especially if you've been away from each other, or even just in a normal week where so much is going on, making sure you take the time out to reconnect as a couple, remembering why you're together, remembering what you're doing and where you're going together, and your goals together, or whatever those things may be. Making sure that you take time out of the craziness of life to reconnect.
Yeah.
Because if you don't do that, we've been in situations where we haven't done that, and then we're just like, what's going on? What's happening? Why are we so disconnected? And it's because we haven't taken that time to do that. So I think for me, that's something that's really, really important for us as a couple, even away from the children as well, because the children do take up everything. Making sure it is just the two of you, remembering what we're doing, why we're here, why we're together, why we love each other. This is so like therapy, and I'm loving it.
So good. Have you got a
that's
third
one of mine.
for us?
I would say, there's loads. Another one that I think is really, really important is patience. Patience is a virtue for a reason, I believe, because I go back to sort of those early days, when nothing was too much, you know what I mean, and nothing was an issue. It's like, it's fine, but whatever.
Yeah.
Of course, when you're 17, 18, 20, 25 years deep,
too much,
because you've had it for the last many years. But actually, again, it's as I say, like, patience is really, really important, and it's definitely something that I always come back to. You did it in day one, and actually you can still set that standard even if the other person is being difficult or going through something or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's a virtue for a reason, and I think we can all exercise a little more patience.
Great.
Well
Love
said.
that.
Well said.
Great top tips. Lush. Now, just as we wrap up, we've got one final question for you guys. So let's pretend we've got a time machine. You can go back in time and you can meet, young Chloe, young JB. What piece of advice would you give to them, knowing what you know now? What would you go back and say?
Oh, that's a good one. For me, I think I would say jump in with both feet. Not that I didn't jump in with both feet, but I think we touched on it early in the early days. Obviously, we were worrying, certainly thinking about career and this and is it right and whatever else. there were definitely moments where we were, sort of like challenging our relationship because it wasn't seen as, the norm, or, it probably wasn't the done thing, or like we were very early into our career, lots of different excuses. But, I think in hindsight, I would just say jump in with both feet, because you'll be here in another 10, 15 years. And actually, it's a really special relationship. So you might as well nurture it from day one.
Yeah.
Mine's quite similar. I'd say relax more. I was worrying more about things, or will it work? Will it work? Will it not work? Just go with the flow, because I always say, if I was telling my younger self, just relax a bit more and enjoy yourself, because you'll worry about things that don't need to be worried about. Especially, I don't know, maybe that's a woman thing that we worry about everything, but just to breathe and relax and have lots of fun, because it's been a really fun ride looking back. And we've had some amazing experiences together, and we've done some amazing things together and individually. So just to enjoy those moments more, and making sure that you stop to celebrate moments, because that's what we try to do now. And I think we were running through life so much when we were younger. We were like doing these amazing things, but not stopping on to the next thing, where now we try to stop and go, wait, we need to celebrate this moment because this is really big and something we've been working towards. So maybe relax a bit more and enjoy the moments, because they come and they go really, really quickly, but to make sure we stop and pause and enjoy them.
Oh, that's
Love
lovely.
it.
Lovely. Wise words to end on there. Guys, where can people keep up with you? What have we got to look forward to? What's going on for you guys?
Oh, I mean, where to start? Obviously, keep up with all of our socials. So Mrs. Chloe Gill and JB Gill. We've got lots of content up there with the family and individually, of course, as well. So you definitely see what we're getting up to on there. What else have we got going on?
I don't know, just lifing. We're lifing.
We are
running
it's
through
very
life.
busy. I'm going to be, in fact, I was in Wales not too long ago. I was in Wales the other day. I did a gig with JLS. So I'm actually on tour. Well, I say I'm on tour. I'm not on tour in the traditional sense, but we're doing various festival dates with JLS. So definitely keep an eye on the jlsofficial.com website if you want to come along to one of those. Similarly, you can check my website out, jbgill.com, where you can find more info about the farm, or about the books, or anything else that's going on. And keep watching the TV screen, because I'm pretty much on most channels throughout the week. So if it's not the one show, then it might well be Channel 5, with Springtime on the Farm or something else. Or, I've got another thing coming up very, very soon for ITV called The Box, which is going to be a new primetime TV show. Not sure when it's going to be out, but it will be. It's already been advertised. So yeah, you'll definitely catch me on that if you're interested.
That's
and
the
just
most
remember me when he's on.
Yeah,
I was going to say, just remember when he is doing those things, I'm the one running around like a mad woman. Yeah,
absolutely.
Holding it
all
all
is
together
happening
behind the scenes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And also pushing me with both hands. Get out there.
Yes.
And
His number one fan, always.
Absolutely. And then your daughter keeps you right when you come home.
Yes. That's right.
Chloe, JB, thank you so much for coming on Copper Goals. We've loved this. This has been lush.
This has been brilliant. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you.